What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Fear not every day, but you decide, my friends, what gets through the filter. Hey, welcome to MINDSHiFT Monday, where we don't just talk mindset. We shift it so that we can focus our lives. Hold on 1 second. My gosh, I'm getting some echo. Let me know if you're hearing it. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me, and we are talking about filtering fear, doubt, and comparison before they hijack your confidence. Milton Dodd, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you on Instagram. Yes. Good to see y'all on Facebook. Hey, good to see you on YouTube. So good you're here, Udine. So glad that you are here today. Yes, we are rocking and rolling on the show today. And as a matter of fact, after the show, you want to join the live conversation, head on over to MINDSHiftMonday.com/Zoom. All right, MINDSHiftMonday.com/Zoom. Yes, I want to make sure that you're there hanging out with me on the show. All right, what do we have happening? We got some live stuff coming up. I'll share that with you just a little bit later on. But in the meantime, let's jump on into the show. You can't stop fear from showing up, but you can stop it from setting up camp. Let's rock and roll. What is going on, everybody? Dr. Lorenda Jones, TL Speaks. So good to see you. C. Marie B. Oh, yeah, my man, Othniel Stevens Sr. Good to see you, my friend. Kendra Q. Dodd. So glad that y'all are here on Instagram this morning. Today, we're talking fear. And I got to tell you, one of the things that I talk about is video communication, how it's changing, where it's headed. And I gotta tell you that 2026 is gonna be a critical year where video is concerned, especially your video. That's why I'm working on a special masterclass on November 13th. Yes, check this out.
You already know visibility drives business, but between listings, clients, and calls, getting in front of the camera can feel like one more thing. That's why on November 13th, we're cutting the fluff. Just 2 focused hours to get you ready to show up consistently in 2026 without the overwhelm. Welcome to the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass. We'll dial in the gear that actually fits your workflow. No tech headache. We'll strengthen the grit that keeps you consistent, even when life gets busy. And we'll unlock the greatness that makes your brand magnetic on video. This isn't theory, it's practical, doable, and designed to set you up strong for 2026. So if you're ready to step out from behind the desk, own your message, and finally become the face of your business, register for the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass on November 13th. Because your clients can't connect with a secret, it's time to be seen, be heard, be great.
Oh, yeah. Head on over to geargritgreatness.com. Get signed up for the masterclass. I see my people. Markeith Braden, what's going on, sir? Crystal Tells Jokes. So glad that you're here. Danny Lewis, so glad that y'all are here. My gosh, today I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this one. We live in a noisy world, don't we? We live in a noisy world. Opinions, criticism, social feeds. And here's what happens. When you let every voice through, that fear tends to multiply. Yeah. Mark Chambers, magnificent Monday to you too, my friend. The other day, I was giving a keynote. It was a closing keynote for a conference. And everything started out really well. Crowd was energetic, which is not always typical for a conference at the end. They've been there for hours. They've been there for a couple of days at some point, and if you are the closing keynote at the end of the conference, then man, you got to bring it. Right? So things were going well. Things were going well. The audience was energetic, paying attention, leaned in, and then it happened. Yeah. About halfway through my talk, I saw a lady and her partner, person beside her. I guess they were related to her, or at least they drove with her. They packed up their stuff and they left. Now, my brain knew what was going on. They've been here for a little while. They've been here doing their stuff, paying attention, soaking in all this knowledge and information. And sometimes it's a lot, right? My brain knew this, but for a moment, old fear crept in. I know it was the end of the conference. They had appointments. Some people just want to get out before the traffic hits. I get it. But for a moment, fear crept in. And I'm on stage. I'm watching this lady leave. And I want to say to her, hey, man, where you going? Right? But because I focused in on her and her leaving, fear crept in, and I actually fumbled a little bit in the talk. The audience probably couldn't tell, but for the next minute or so, I was distracted. I lost my place where I was, and I kind of had to fake it through for the next minute. My flow was interrupted because I got distracted. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, I mean, you're doing something really well, and you get distracted. And it wasn't so much that I got distracted, right? You're doing something, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something shifts, and you're back in a place of discomfort. Here's the reason why I was distracted. It's not because of the lady walking out. You see, it's happened to me before where I've been on the other side. I've been in the audience and someone's up on stage and I've heard, oh boy, it's going to be a long day. Or, geez, this is terrible. Or, oh, geez, I wish I could get the cliff notes for this. I'm so bored. You see, when you've heard criticism or even given criticism, some part of you has the fear that you're going to be treated the same way when you're on the other side of the mic. And this happens online all the time, right? We see a friend, air quotes, we see a friend post something simple. They might not post it something controversial or political, right? But we see them post something simple and OMG, other people start coming for them, right? Other people start, let me see. I'm getting distracted by my cameras here. Yeah. All right, cool. Let me not mess with that, right? We see a friend post something simple and other people start coming for them in the comments. And because we see other people coming for them, your mind's like, I'm not saying a word because other people are going to come for me. Let me use another speaking example. Quite often during my talks or my workshops, we give out feedback surveys, and sometimes I'll see the results. And you know, there are a lot of them. There are let's say 100 of them, and I'm looking at the results. And 93 of them can say, I would definitely see the speaker again. 6 of them say, I would probably see the speaker again. And 1 of them says, yeah, I probably won't see the speaker again. Do you know what gets the volume? Do you know what we pay attention to? OMG, we turn up the volume on the voice that screams the negative. We can be affirmed, we can be confirmed, we can have all of the positive stuff. And that one negative is what gets our attention. Why is that? Why is that? You don't have to believe everything that enters your head or that enters the comments. Not every voice deserves your volume. But here's why we struggle. Here's why we struggle. Part of the challenge is that we have become accustomed to allowing all the voices around us to enter our space. Othniel says self-confidence. Yeah, that's a piece of it. But what contributes to our self-confidence? What contributes to our self-confidence? A lot of us think of self-confidence as, okay, yep, I've got to be this thing. I've got to be this way. I've got to think this way. And yes, there is some truth to that. But part of the challenge is that we allow the voices around us to enter our space. Yeah. We place ourselves in spaces too often where even when we're not paying attention, we allow negativity to sit around us, and therefore it seeps into our psyche. Yeah, I see a lot of self-esteem. But what creates the self-esteem? A lot of that is what is around us. People say to me sometimes, hey, Robert, why don't you post your thoughts or opinions on a lot of the stuff that's going on? And I'm going to call it out. I'm going to be like open, transparent. You know, the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened. I didn't post anything. I simply posted something about loving each other. I got messages saying, hey, why didn't you say more? Right? President posts something and it's not in alignment with what some people believe. Hey, why don't you post about it? This happens, that happens, this other thing happens. Hey, why didn't you, why did this organization make a statement? Why didn't this platform or this person who has this platform make a statement? How come you don't post your opinions on a lot of the stuff that's going on? You've got the platform for it, right? You've got all of these followers. You got these connections. You've got the platform. Here's what I say. I'm not called to every conversation. I'm not called to every conversation. I'm clear on the conversations that I'm called to. Yeah. And I know this because I've been paying attention for a little while. And I've been able to pay attention because of some guardrails or some doors, some gates that I've placed around me. Am I perfect? No. Nope. I pay attention to some stuff more than I should sometimes. Am I perfect? Nope. I'm online or I'm in certain spaces more than I should be sometimes. But what I am is clear that there are some spaces that do not serve the psyche that I want to have. And here's the thing. I used to be a person who says, yep, I need to be on social media for business. Yep, you're all over. You're here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I got to be there for business. And while that is true, I've learned that there's some stuff, some time frames I've got to put around some stuff, right? Most people confuse awareness with access. They think that every opinion needs attention. Every comment needs a response. Every complaint needs a reaction. I got to be on socials so I know what's going on. Were you unaware before? Did you go through your day continually surprised? Social media keeps us comparing, reacting, explaining. But strength often looks like silence. Yeah. But Robert, I can't control what comes into my brain. I can't always guard what my thoughts are. No, but you can control what gets repeated access to your brain. And the things that get repeated access shape how we interact with our world. And if fear gets repeated access, if comparison gets repeated access, if controversy gets repeated access, if drama gets repeated access, if complaint gets repeated access, then guess what shows up? Side note, if you're always posting about what's wrong in the world, but never doing anything to create right in the world, then you're just complaining. Okay, I'm back. All right. I'll say that one more time. If you're always posting about what's wrong in the world, but never doing anything to create right in the world, then you're just posturing. Let's get back. Fear grows in the spaces that you leave unguarded. You can't control every thought, but you can choose which thoughts get a seat. So let's jump into our actions. You know, we like to land the plane. We're getting close to landing the plane time. We always want to leave with at least 3 things that you can do. All right. So here's number one. I want you to, here's your action, set your filter. Decide what's allowed in and what is not. Now, I get it. Sometimes you can't always control what comes around you. If you have to be online, if you got to be on social media, you can't always control what is said. But sometimes it's about the measure, how much of certain things get in. And here's the deal. Have you ever had the experience or on social media where you watched something that you didn't necessarily want to watch? And I'm talking about on reels or whatever, or watch a certain type of reel. And then the next time you log in, you notice that, oh my gosh, more and more and more and more of that thing or that type is showing up in my videos, in my reels, in my suggestions. Well, and we're like, oh, it's the algorithms. Yes, it is the algorithms, but it's that way in your life as well, right? The more easy access you give to something, the more easy access you give to people, the more easy access that you give to certain types of conversations is the more that thing shows up in your space. So I've got to create filters and decide what is allowed in, what gets more time, what gets more space from me, and what gets not, or what gets limited, right? Feedback from my mentors, yes. Random opinions, no. Right? You can't always avoid the opinions of other people, but you can counterbalance it by intentionally ingesting education or more wisdom from those who've already paved the path. All right, so I want you to set your filter. Set your filter. And by that, I mean intentionally saying, okay, if I could write down a percentage of the information that I want, I know that if I go to work, these people are going to complain. I need to spend this amount of time around that people. If they talk about this for this amount of time, then I've got to go to this direction. I've got to go over here. or I've got to introduce something new into the conversation. All right. So set your filter. Next thing, number 2, name the noise. You want to hear or notice, I want you to notice that I talk about naming things frequently. Last week, we talked about naming some fears, naming what you want, right? Name the noise. And here's what I mean by that. The things that get in the way, the complaints, the opinions, I want you to give them a name. Because when you don't name something, we rationalize it, right? It lives in hiding, disguised as rationalization. In other words, it lives in darkness. And fear only exists in darkness. Kids are afraid of the dark, naturally. Most kids are. But here's what happens. Our world, what does our world do? Our world doesn't say, hey, you shouldn't be afraid of the dark. Our world says, our world does not say, get comfortable with something else. Our world tells our children, yeah, it's okay. You should not be afraid of the dark. Now, I get the sentiment of that. Here's what my brain says happens with that also, though. Our world trains us to get comfortable with the dark and fear the light that shines in us naturally. I want to say that one more time. Our world trains us to get comfortable with the dark. Our world trains us to get comfortable with isolation. Our world trains us, and I want you to hear me when I say this, our world trains us to be, air quotes, independent, wanting us to be free of other people, wanting us to be by ourselves, wanting us to be able to do things on our own. Our world trains us to get comfortable with the dark and fear the light that shines in us naturally. That's why naming fear is critical. When fear speaks, write it down. Write down the phrase and respond with truth. Is this fact or is this fiction? Here's one thing about fear or fear talk. It's a story. Fear is a story that typically has not come true or is based in your own imagination or the imagination of others. So whatever that fear is or whatever that noise is, I want you to name it. I want you to write it down. I want you to get really practical with it. Now, the last step. My gosh, we're running out of time. Last step. I want you to protect your peace practices. Develop some protect your peace practices. Here's what that means. Ooh, yes, we're on social media. Yes, you're watching me on Instagram. Yes, you're watching this on Substack. Yes, you're watching this on Facebook and YouTube. I want you to be intentional about that time. You got to have some practices where you protect your peace. Limit doom scrolling. Ooh, right? And that's where you're scrolling all the stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could have that life. How come I am not an influencer? How come I do not have a mansion? How come listen, let me make this real. Let me not make it seem like it's just you. I do it. I have had times and moments where as a speaker, I see conferences, I see events happening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how come I did not get to speak at that conference? How come I was not invited there? How come let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be personal. Let's get inside, Robert. So I had to make up my mind that I was, if I see a conference, my practice is, okay, if I see somebody that I'm just going to celebrate them. If I see somebody that I know that's speaking at a conference, celebrate. Oh my gosh, yes. I had to intentionally make that turn. They got their space, they got their turn, and I get mine all the time. And who knows? I'm doing stuff that other people may not have the opportunity to do. Stop doom scrolling. Stop doom scrolling. The world is not intentionally set up to be malicious to you personally. It doesn't care about you enough. Saskali, man, I'm praying for you in the storm, my friend. Sidebar, those of you that are watching from Jamaica, yes, prayers from you, my homeland. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. Schedule silence. I use an app called Opal to help me with this. It locks down all of my social apps at a specific time, and it limits me to a certain amount of time per day. I've intentionally set it up, to coincide with sometimes when I need to do specific work. Right? Schedule silence. And finally, replace comparison time with creation time. It's not about avoidance. It's about replacement. It's about replacement. When fear speaks, write down the phrase, respond with truth. Right? I want you to replace your comparison time with creation time. My goodness. My goodness. As we say at the end of every show here, I want you to figure out how you can turn your day from reaction into creation. Same letters, slide the C. How can you turn your day from reaction into creation? Let's talk about how we can tighten our filters and guard our focus. Join me in the after show. Join me in the after show. Here's the deal. You don't owe fear a full access pass, right? I want you to filter with intention so that your focus becomes freedom. In the book, 28 Days to a New Me, I share a statement by Brian Tracy that says, the key to success is to focus our conscious minds on what we desire and not what we fear. What does this mean for you? It means create the conditions for focus, and that may mean limiting access to even seemingly normal information that can create a pattern of negativity. So, my friend, it's time for you to get intentional. It's time for you to filter what fractures your focus. And it's time for you to get to the bold, confident life that you were meant to lead. If you love the messages that we share each week and you want to get a reminder about when we're live, I want you to text live to 240-557-8679. 240-557-8679. I want you to jump on into the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass by signing up today at geargritgreatness.com. Geargritgreatness.com. November 13th is the day. Let's lock in. Let's rock it. Let's make 2026 your best year in your life. All right. Lastly, don't forget to join me in the after show to talk more about this topic. In just a few moments, head on over to MINDShiftMonday.com/Zoom. Until next time, my friends, what's inside of you determines what comes out of you. Or, as I always say, change your thoughts, change your world, change your story. Bam. I'll see you. Come on. Join me in the Zoom. MINDShiftMonday.com/Zoom. Let's do it. Peace, y'all.